Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Summer J. I'm going to give you some updated news um, about the voters. Voter suppression package is an attack on the voters' rights, of Wisconsin. Today he denounced a package of bills, introduced by a handful of states, lawmaker, aiming to make it more difficult. Now they're going to make it more difficult for certain people to vote. Calling proposal Nicholson a direct attack on the proposal, on direct attack on the voters, rights. Nicholson, the bill that will impose more restriction, how voters, can request a return absent ballots. And will increase boundaries for voters around the state, including for many people of color, with and disability or seasoned citizen. Now, these proposals, are based on misinformation, and false exaggeration that claim about mail voting vacancy. So it's pretty much about the mail. Mail, last year, 2 years ago, they had the, you can vote and send your stuff through the mail for the disabled and the citizen. So now they're making it more hard and difficult. How it was 2 years ago. So the new proposal that would radical alter the state absent voting process by restriction, voting by mail. So they're about to take away from your voting through the mail. For example, many feel and disabled residents who are confined, to their homes will have to give verification from the medical professional to certain their status. So if they say they're disabled, so now they got to go to a professional to state that they really are disabled, order for them to send their ballots through the mail. So even though Wilkinson had allowed self certification, for them, the Supreme Court to find out that the voters had not misused their process. So they're trying to make sure you're not using the process, because I don't know, they're trying to say, some people saying they were disabled to mail it, and all the while they probably wasn't. So I don't know, they're saying they're misusing the process. So it also will prevent voters from automatically setting ballots, every election, instead requiring reapplication for each election and imposing even more. So many other voters that will have to repeatedly provide photo ID each time they request a mail absent ballot. So each time, I mean, they do that. They do that already. I know every time I go and vote, they still ask for your ID identification. So they say they're gonna repeatedly ask, to provide, your ID. So if they previously provide the ID to confirm their identity, the proposal will bar Winston election commission from sending ballots application to register voters. So this run continued to the Boston Commission and successful approval in 2020. To practice mail, bipolar mail application that that in 2020, they was doing the mail thing. And they said it was like 2.7 million registered voters, and they said that was a lot. That, for the clerk, it's a handful for their clerks, to do all the mail, all the voters, the ballots that came through the mail. They said the clerk was overwhelmed. So the voters who applied in person to vote absent, the bill also seeks to make it harder not only for voters to request, ballots, but also to complete and return them. They will prohibit clerks, from assisting voters by completing the address information, that they will limit the location of drop box and another location there was. So they're trying to eliminate the mail. because the clerk was overwhelmed, 2 years ago. So they were saying that a lot of them was not disabled. So that's why they're saying if you're saying you're disabled and you want to put it in the, your voters ballots in the mail, you have to have medical records stating that you're disabled. So while they among voters, the curricular, they would limit the people who are prohibited to return to active violence immediately, from the family, legal guardians, but not even allowing a friend or neighbor or more distant. So it only have to be a family, a legal guardians for them to help them with their ballots. So they deliberate attempt by hand for the landmark to suppress the people voting rights. Democracy works best when citizens participate in election, and we must attend and work to make sure every eligible, voters in Wisconsin can cast a body. Because we need everyone to vote. We need everyone to vote. Because we got so much going on. We have to know the right person that's going to be in that seat. So even if you're 18 years old, we need an 18 years old on up to vote. We're not gonna exclude no one out from voting. Suppress, prevent, development action or expression or restraint. To put down the authority of folks. So the new proposal that they came out with. So this is the update. I did this about 2 days ago. So now we see that they're making it hard. For certain people to vote. So the bill will impose more restriction, including for many people, of color, disability, citizen, that suppress people voting rights. But I request, that do not suppress, to stop or prohibit the publication or revolution. We have to look at, everyone to vote. African American, all race to vote. Disability, citizen, all need to vote. If they're 18 years old, to have to vote. We're not going to exclude 18 years old. 18 years old on up, to be voting. So continue on. So I need, for disability and citizen, I need them to continue on mailing their ballots. Disabled and citizen, we gonna continue on allowing them to put theirs in the mailbox, send theirs through mail. So I ban this new proposal. I ban suppression, where everyone will be able to vote. We're not gonna excuse no one. You're 18 years old, vote. Disability, vote. Citizens still vote. So that's all I have. For the new proposal that had came out with. Making it harder for certain people to vote. We have so much going on right now. We need everyone to vote. We need everyone to have civil rights on voting. So we're not gonna exclude no one. You're 18 years old. African American, disability, citizen, all need to vote. So that's all the show news I have for you on today, and I see y'all on another video. Be safe.